Hey, Ambrosia. Welcome, welcome.
Yes, indeed.
How are you?
It is called
How are you doing?
altering, where the transitory lands of the Lords of Cinder converge. In venturing north, the pilgrims discover the truth of the old words. The fire fades, and the lords go without thrones. When the link of fire is threatened, the bell tolls, unearthing the old lords of Cinder from their graves.
So yeah, the idea is to just casually play through Dark Souls 3, including the DLCs, both of them. So if you want to see anything special, like for example what kind of character you want me to make, so feel free to make a suggestions.
The abyss watches.
Or if you want to see some kind of a challenge, also feel free to leave a comment. But otherwise, this is just gonna be chill playthrough, nothing special. I'm probably gonna be showing at least one skip. Not gonna do the other one where you can skip basically half the game. But yeah, feel free to add your comments if you want to see any kind of special character.
Only in truth, the lords will abandon their thrones. And the unkindled will rise. Nameless, accursed undead, unfit even to be cinder. And so it is that ash seeketh embers.
So, do you guys want to see any kind of special run, or should I just go whatever I feel like? Feel free to add comments if you want. For our character, I was thinking naming him Sir Istapegi. Istapegi is like a spaghetti, but Istapegi in reverse. So, yeah, feel free to choose, or should I choose for us? It's really however you want. You can just if you want to see me run a specific character, I can. But otherwise, I'm gonna be running the knight because knight is overall balanced in this game. So yeah, other than that, there's really not much difference. For example, in warrior or knight, a warrior has a little bit more strength, but like I said, knight is overall balanced character. I think it's also one of the more easier character to play, since his starting stats are generally balanced. But yeah, we can change that later if we want. We can respect our levels later. Burial gift is basically your starting item that you can choose. Really doesn't matter what you pick. The game tells you what you can take, but I usually always pick the life ring, since it gives you a little more HP. The origin doesn't matter really here. You can be whatever you want, but mostly you're gonna be seeing this like inside your armor. So really, what kind of character you play doesn't really matter here. At least not to me. To some players it does, but not to me. Also, the age doesn't affect anything. But yeah, I think with that out of the way, we can start. I am gonna be playing the game with my online status turned on, meaning that I might get invaded by other players, and I'm not really good at PvP. So if I am gonna be invaded, expect me to see a die a lots of times. That's one thing. So yeah, how you guys been? Ambrosia, how you been? Everyone else, how was your day? So this is our main character. We are in a kingdom of Lothric, and the main plot revolves around Lords of Cinder. So the idea is that we defeat the Lords of Cinder and return them back to their thrones. I picked the Dark Souls 3 because it's considered one of the more easier games to pick, as it is more modern than the rest. I mean, the Dark Souls 2 is pretty modern, but for example, Dark Souls 1 has a little more jankier or stiff controls, other than Dark Souls, except for exceptions of Dark Souls 3. But yeah, I think the Dark Souls 3 is one of the easiest game of these three games. It's more easier to pick, so that's why we're gonna start with Dark Souls 3. Also, there's there's no need to play Dark Souls 1 or 2 in order to know what happens in Dark Souls 3, so feel free to pick any game you want. In terms of timeline, however, the Dark Souls 3 takes place roughly around 1,000 years after the Dark Souls 1, and Dark Souls 2 has nothing to do with both of these games because it takes place in its own realm, so to say. So the story of Dark Souls 2 is completely separate from 1 and 3. I'm also going to be trying to play this game through a casual point of view. So, for example, a person who has either played a little of Dark Souls games or a person who has thought about playing these games but never might be touched or is just intrigued by these but never have played. So I'll try to go through the stages and bosses as casually as I can, so no fancy tricks, no glitches, no nothing like that. I'll try to explain as best as I can how to go through each boss, but in the end it all comes down to practice and repetition. Like that's the only best advice I can give. Just try again, then try again, and then try again. Also, you're probably going to be seeing me doing a few times of going back and forth of the same areas. Even though the game can be completed without any kind of grinding, but to make it easier on myself, I am going to be running through some areas at least 1 or 2 times. So yeah, that as well. I am going to be repeating some areas for a few times just to make it easier on myself. But this first area is basically acting as your tutorial area, where you can learn enemy patterns, get used to the controls. You also have your first bonfire. Yes, yes, that's the second skip you can make in this game. So basically, by calling out the Dancer of the Boreal Valley before you even should be able to, that one I am not gonna do. Even though I could, but I don't want to. It just ruins the face of the game, but it is possible. As you know, it's possible. But yes, that is exactly the skip that I mentioned. Dancer of the Boreal Valley is one of the much later bosses of the game, and if you know how to do it, yeah, I think it's the biggest early game skip you can do. Yes, it actually is. Before they patched the game, I believe there was even earlier one that it's like if you could go through the walls here after the first boss, you could before you open the door, you could basically like skip over half of the game. But I think that one has been patched, so that's no longer possible. So yeah, the Dancer of the Boreal Valley is actually like it's only a challenge if you want, but I'm not gonna do that. because I think it leaves much out of the game, and there's just no point doing it if we're doing casual playthrough. So we're going to be going through areas. Let's put it this way: I'll try to go through areas as intended. The Dark Souls 3 is also one of the more linear of these three games. Dark Souls 1 has few areas that you can go if you want. Also, Dark Souls 2 has even more variety in terms of where you can go at the start of the game. So this is our first boss fight, and this acts as your tutorial boss basically. So if you can get past this, then you're basically can get past anything. Best advice I can give is to when you remove the sword, just start hitting him immediately. This way you can already deplete his health somewhat. And just, even if you want to make it even more easier, just stay behind him. Keep your shield up, stay behind, give a few hits, back up. Second phase, nothing special, just stay behind. Keep your shield up. As long as you keep your shield up and you have stamina, you're basically good to go. Just stay behind him, few hits, back up. You can even do a roll. Then a few hits, back up, shield up. And that's it. That's the whole boss. Like, many of you have probably heard the term that the Souls games are difficult or known for their difficulty, but the difficulty comes from not knowing the bosses. That's the first thing, because you don't know what to expect. The second thing is that maybe you're not using all the tools that you have available to you. So the most important tool that you have is your weapon, of course, and your shield. This is one of the most important tools that you can have. Like, even if you don't do the rolls, shield is even more important. Your stamina and your shield, as long as you have even a little bit of stamina, your shield can block most of the attacks. At the cost of stamina, of course. In terms of items, I'll probably not going to be going through nothing like 100% all items. Even though I know where most of them are, I'm just not going to be bothering picking them up. If I consider that there's no point of picking them up. But yeah, other than that, that was the first, so to speak, tutorial boss, and we're just gonna go ahead and make our way to our hub. There's gonna be one enemy here, sword master, I think he's called. Basically, he is also a challenge for you, for the beginning players. If they want, they can fight him to test how different NPC enemies react to players, like more difficult enemies. But what I like to do in all of my runs when I play the game, I'm just gonna be luring him to get easy defeat on him. So what I like to do is I'm gonna be using, like, this is most popular tactic. I'm gonna be using this corner here to lure him to drop into a pit. So we're gonna be abusing his AI to do that work for us. So I'm gonna be luring him into the corner here, dropping down and waiting till he attacks and hoping that he will drop himself, so I don't have to bother with him anymore. And there he goes. Bye-bye. That's easy 2000 souls right there. make your way through here. There's going to be an item here and a dog enemy as well. Embers are basically the one of the more valuable items, because when you are embered, you see you have this fiery glow around you, and you also have on the top left corner your symbol is going to be like glowing red. That's how you know you're embered. And when you're embered, you can put down your sign and enable multiplayer. So this is the first skip we're going to be doing. So this area is accessed later in the game. You need a key to access here. Go up the tower, drop down, then drop this ladder and get up there. But what I'm going to be doing is that I'm going to be doing this skip first. And I'll do this every time when I play, because this will give you more, one more Estus shard. So the idea is to run up this tree and jump here. This was implemented in the game from the day one. Many thought that this was patched, but it still hasn't been patched even to this day. So this is still a valid tactic if you want early Estus shard. There's also a ring that you might want. This ring will give you more souls. There's also a crystal lizard. If you want the twinkling titanite item, you can get it here as well. And this again is area that you're going to be gaining access later in the game when you have the key. So just run around the corner and there's the lizard. And there's our first twinkling titanite. So now we're going to be making our way back. About halfway, we're going to be turning left. And we're going to be meeting a crow. There we go. So there's our first Estus shard. That's our first Estus shard, and this is Pickle Crow. You can exchange items with him, so by giving one item, he will give you another in exchange. This is a hidden wall. You can either roll into it or you can just hit it. And down here is going to be our item that we want. Also, this is one of the items that I always get when I play this game. This is covered with silver serpent ring. This will increase the souls you gain when you defeat enemies. Not by much, but in the long run it still helps. And then we're just going to be dropping down, and this is our Firelink Shrine. This is our hub where we're going to be coming to level up, to upgrade our items, and meeting NPCs when we want to do side quests.
Another one roused from the sleep of death. Well, you're not alone. We unkindled are worthless. Can't even die right. Gives me conniptions. And they'd have us seek the Lords of Cinder and return them to their moulding thrones. But we are talking true legends with the metal to link the fire. They're not fit to lick their boots. Don't you think?
So the sword that we just got from the first boss, you need it in order to progress through the game further. So we're gonna be inserting our coil sword here, and this is our first, so to speak, hub area. So like I said, the idea is to defeat the Fire Lords and return their cinders to the throne. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 main Fire Lords that we need to defeat during the game and return their ashes to the thrones. This NPC will be coming away, will be important later. You can talk to him if you want, but for now I'm going to be leaving him just to his own things. Spending all fading souls to get more souls for us. And one more. So this is Andre.
Well, a newcomer, I see. I am Andre. I serve at the shrine.
So he is our smith.
Smith, forging weapons.
Through him we can upgrade weapons a lot. Estus flasks, like rearrange how many flasks we have. We can repair also weapons, which is kind of weird because every time you sit at the bonfire, your weapons will be repaired anyway. We can also infuse weapons with different elements. For example, if we have fire gem, we could make a fire sword. We can also allot Estus, so we have 1 magic Estus and 3 health Estus, so we can divide them however we want, but for now I'm going to be going with all health items anyway. Blue Estus flasks are useful if you want to refill your magic or your FP. When you have a Estus shard, you can add always 1 when you have 1 shard. So reinforce, yes. And this will give us more flasks when we sit at the bonfire. Upgrading weapons, you can upgrade shield as well. You can repair equipment, but this, as I said, this is basically useless. Because every time when you sit at the bonfire, you will repair your equipment. So it's almost pointless to have that.
And yes, I'm undead too, but not so charitable as to give my goods away. Ashen One, fetch souls and bring them to me. As is thy wont? No?
So this is a shrine handmade, and you can basically purchase basic items from her. More items will become available later. But for now I'm going to be purchasing the sign soapstone. This will allow me place my own sign down for any other player. Ember allows us to ember ourselves and allow multiplayer if we want. And I'm also going to be getting a torch. This will be useful later in the game. So that's always good to have it. This key, the tower key that costs 20,000 souls, this is needed to get into the tower that we just skipped. So we basically made an early game starting skip, so to speak. And from here we can go into Lothric itself. Here at the Shrine Bonfire, when you have Undead Bone Shard, you can burn it, and this will upgrade your Estus Flask level. So currently we have 5 Estus Flasks, but when you burn Bone Shard, you will be getting Estus Flasks +1, +2, +3. So this burning a shard will increase its healing power of the flask. Spell attuning, if you have spells, you can get them there, and the storage box, if you need, you can put stuff there. So this is our first official area of the game, High Wall of Lothric. This is where the game begins officially after the tutorial area. So yeah, Sir Istapegi will be going through the castle of Lothric and the areas, and also around other areas as well. So right here we have our first bonfire immediately. I'm gonna be putting on Ember as a quick item and the white sign item as well. So if I want, I can put it down like this. And now if somebody wants around my level, they can summon me. So I'm gonna leave it there, so if somebody needs my help, they can summon me later in the game. As long as I'm in this general area of the High Wall Lothric, they can summon me. So, rolling out of the enemy attacks and blocking are your important tools for not taking damage. You can basically just hold the shield up and go behind the enemy. As long as you have a little bit of stamina, again, your shield will block most of the attacks. The game is linear in a sense that you need to have certain items in order to progress to the next areas. So even if you go to an area that you're not supposed to be in, there's usually something like you cannot progress this path because you don't have some sort of item. So let's say, for example, we're going to be going later in the game to the area called Irithyll of the Boreal Valley, but if we don't have specific item, we cannot progress there any further. So we have to backtrack. So if you're getting lost or you cannot progress, you know that you have to backtrack a little to the previous areas. So we're just gonna run through here, taking out small enemies, nothing to worry about. Backstabbing. When backstabbing enemies, it does critical damage. So backstabbing is a good thing to do against enemies. Also, if you are holding your weapon with two hands, this will do roughly about 50% more damage, no matter the weapon. It also increases your strength status. So, for example, if you need a weapon that requires a certain amount of strength, you can wield it with two hands, and you can swing it more efficiently. Again, this first few of these first areas are pretty simple. You don't need to do much. Just roam around, kill some enemies, sit at the bonfire, and respawn everything just to collect some souls. Nothing special. More enemies here. Taking out these dudes. There's gonna be enemy behind that box. Dropping down here. And picking more items along the way. And again, disposing of few enemies while making our way towards. So here comes our first dragon. And you don't want to get hit by fire. So just back away. He's gonna take all those enemies out for us with his fire breath. We don't need to worry about that. We can go to the right side, but he will fire breath his attacks on the right side as well. Taking more health, and there's a door there that we can run to. So we're just gonna be waiting till he does his fire breath, like so. Then we're gonna wait a little, and then we're just gonna run straight to the door. This door opens from this side only, so even if you manage to get there, you cannot open this door because it's locked from this side. There's an item over there which I want. That's a two-handed, that's a claymore sword, which is a great sword, and I want that because it's better than our current weapon. So we have to run there as quickly as possible. There's gonna be two enemies left and right. Just taking care of them. So, and this is a Lothric Knight. He's a little more challenging enemy than these small mobs, but just circling around him and trying to backstab him, you should be just fine. Just keep out on your stamina. Just back up a little. One, two. He usually does a combo of three, two swings and a stab, and when he stabs, you can just go around back to him and backstab him. All enemies have some chances of dropping special items. So, for example, if you could farm Lothric Knights to try and make them drop a either sword or an armor piece. Some fire bombs. There's gonna be a next bonfire here already. So we're just gonna light it up and replenish our Estus, and so will all of the enemies gonna be respawning as usual, as is tradition of Dark Souls games. And if we want, we can leave our sign here, so maybe some player wants, and he can summon us if he wants. dropped ember. There's an item here that I want later, but it's also an enemy that we can defeat this early in the game. So that chest over there, that's a mimic. And we are being summoned into some other player's world. Because we left our sign, we're going to be summoned to other players' world, and we can help them either as long as he is alive, or as we are alive, or until we defeat the boss of that area. So as we see, we are this white spectral, and he is the host. So we're just going to be following him and see what he wants us to do. So as long as the host haven't defeated the boss of the area, in this case it's being Ward of the Boreal Valley, so to speak, the first boss, he can summon anyone he wants in his level range, or he can leave his own sign to be summoned for other players, provided again he is in the level range. One thing to note is that when you are summoned to other players' world, your Estus flasks are cut by half. Also, your HP is going to be cut by a certain amount because your level is going to be dropped to the host's level. So the higher the level of the host, the higher your own HP is going to be. But your Estus flasks are going to be cut by half. And even if you die as a guest in his world, your souls are going to be safe. So there's no downside of dying in his world, because your souls are not going to be lost on you. Keeping some fire bombs with you is also a good thing to have. Also, certain enemies are weak to certain attacks. For example, that big black blob dude, he is weak to fire. So they are very easy to take care of with fire attacks, like fire bombs. So we're gonna be helping him by taking care of as many enemies as we can. And also to note that when you are summoned, or when you summon somebody, the HP of the enemies and bosses will go up. So the game kind of balances itself by taking into account of amount of players. Again, just keep your shield up and try to get behind them and backstabbing them. That's one of the sure ways to get rid of the most enemies, especially the ones with the shield. I wonder where is our host? Because I have no idea where he is. So let's go see if he made his way down, but I doubt it, highly doubt it. Oh, there he is, waiting for us. Oh well, we died. But this is fine for us because we are not gonna lose our souls because we are only a guest in his world. So we are kinda there's no downside for us dying. And we are back in our own world and we can proceed with our items filled up, and basically we are returned back to the state at to the moment where we were just before we were summoned. So any enemies that you have killed before that will be staying dead, and the enemies that you have not killed obviously won't be dead. So yeah, there are many different kind of weapons. Back in Bloodborne, there's like only 26 weapons in total, but in Dark Souls games, there's usually much more than that. So in terms of weapon variety and making a build variety, there's lots of more options in Dark Souls games than there is, for example, in Bloodborne. So this is the same area we just past through in as a phantom. So now we just have to deal with our own enemies in our world. Same thing, but because we are alone, our enemies are weaker because we are only one player here. Another crystal lizard. Getting rid of that. And we got our first gem. That was a raw gem, so gems can be inserted into weapons to increase their attack or making them fire or holy weapons or whatever else you need to be. By equipping a certain gem, you can make that stat available to you. So yeah, going through the same area that we just went through, just in our own world. backstab is super effective against most enemies. Not necessarily against the bosses, but most basic enemies are easily disposed of either just attacking them or doing a backstab. Do you drop anything? No. If you want a new one-handed weapon, this is a good sword to have, the broadsword. It has a little more attack compared to our own. So ours is 110 physical, but this one, the broadsword, has 117 physical attack. So this is a little better if you want. But I'm going to be using a claymore later on. That's two-handed great sword, which we picked up earlier. One thing to note is that every Dark Souls game, 1, 2, and 3, they use a weight ratio system. So the more you equip items and gear, the heavier you become. And the weight ratio is usually like 60%. Anything is below 70% is good. But anything above 70 will make you slow roll your character. That's what the community calls fat rolling, because you are more heavily equipped, and you do these slow rolls. So that's why you might hear the saying, the fat rolling. That's where it comes from. You have so much weight on you that you roll slowly. So when you open your equipment, in the top right section you can see equip load and weight ratio. And the weight ratio is the one we want to keep our eye on. So every equipment weighs something. So anything, as long as we are below 70, we are good. So anything above 70 will make us fat rolling. So putting on, for example, claymore, and we'll make our weight ratio 79.6, and this is our fat rolling. So this will slow your rolls significantly. And anything below 70, so now it's 63.3, this is a normal medium roll. So this is what we want to keep constantly on us. More weapons, more items in gear. There's one item here. Shards are used again to upgrade your weapons. This key opens the cell to a character named Grey Rat. Another Estus shard. There's one item there. There's also a weapon there. You can We can get this one, and we can also collect the another weapon here when we go one floor up. So just go through here. There's gonna be another item here, and then you just have to drop down here, and there's a new chest with the weapon. So this is the Astoros Straight Sword. This is a one-handed weapon, so it's a little better than our current, but we need Fate of 12, so which we can't currently equip, but that's okay. We're going to be raising our stats anyway later. So just making our way back where we came from, and there's an item here. We can get this. Black fire bombs are much more powerful than the regular fire bombs. They're also much more expensive to get, so if you want you can use them, but I usually tend to keep them if I need them at some point, so I'm not a heavy user of those, even though they are more powerful than the regular fire bombs. Another item. There's another item here, and the enemy. Just like Bloodborne, we're gonna be opening shortcuts. So the first shortcut is gonna be coming just in a moment. There's one item here. This is the ring of... There should be a ring there. Yeah, ring of sacrifice. So the ring of sacrifice, basically, what it does is when you wear it, it will break when you die, but you won't be losing any of your souls. So it's kind of an one-use insurance. If you happen to die and you have a ring equipped, you won't be losing any souls, but the ring breaks after you die. And this is going to take us back to the high wall of Lothric, where we started. And we are back at the very start of the high wall of Lothric. So now that we have our shortcut open, we can just run back the shortcut and proceed forward to the first boss. But before that, since we have so much souls amounted, we should level up before anything else happens. So you level up by going back to the Fireling Shrine and talking to the Firekeeper.
Welcome to the bonfire, unkindled one. I am a firekeeper. I tend to the flame, and tend to thee. The lords have left their thrones, and must be delivered to them. To this end, I am at thy side.
So this is where you can level up.
Then take nourishment.
Every stat does something. So usually, when you level up, it usually highlights on the middle or on the right what that leveling up does. So, for example, leveling up your vigor gives more HP. Leveling up attunement gives you more magic. Endurance gives you more stamina. Vitality increases your equip load. So the higher your equip load is, the higher the weight ratio is going to go and the more heavier gear you can wear. Strength affects strength scaling weapons. Dexterity affects dexterity based weapons. Intelligence affects magic. Magic attacks. Fate affects miracle based attacks. And luck is just overall item discovery, but luck is not good to have. Like, there's no point leveling up luck. Believe me, it just isn't unless you really want to. You can, but my opinion is that there's no point to it. So, first things before you level up, what I like to do is I like to see what weapon I'm going to be using. So, for example, I know that I'm going to be needing a little bit of dexterity and a little bit of strength. And I know that the weapon that I'm going to be using is going to be a claymore, and we need attribute requirements are 16 strength and 13 dexterity. So I know that I need at least 1 point in dexterity and few points in strength in order to wield this weapon efficiently with one hand. I also know that because it weighs is 9 points, it's set in the middle. So where if you look at the middle, it says claymore, then it says stance, FP cost, and weight. So the weapon weighs 9 points, which puts our weight ratio in the top right corner to 74. So again, we need to be below 70, so we don't over encumber ourselves that much. So we're going to be putting 1 point in dexterity, so that's 13. Vitality increases our equip load, so that. Strength for the weapon, so 13 and 16 is minimum for claymore. Health is always good to have, few points, and stamina, and more equip load. So this is how you basically know what you need or what kind of a character you want to make. So now that we have our minimum requirements for the weapon, we can wield the claymore more efficiently. That puts us to 70.3, so we are still fat rolling, like so. So we can remove, for example, some piece of gear that weights us down. We can even remove a ring if we want. That puts us to 69.8. That is just enough. We're going to be losing a little bit of health, but that's fine. So now we're just rolling normally and not being over encumbered by the weight. And now we can just go back and proceed with our progress. But before that, we did found one Estus shard, so we can just go to Andre and add it to our Estus. So reinforce, yes. This will give us one more Estus, so now instead of 5, we're going to be having 6 once we rest at the bonfire. So that will give us 6 Estuses in total. And we can go to High Wall of Lothric. We're going to be going here because we have the shortcut open, and this is much faster to progress than going to the second bonfire that we have. Going all the back. Now we also deal more damage because of the better weapon, and we also have a little bit more stamina, so we can hit more. We can block more attacks, and we're going to be heading to our first boss. There's our second raw gem. We can upgrade the weapon with that if we want later. This is an NPC. This sign is usually almost always here, so this is just a aid that we can have if we want. But I'm not going to summon him yet. There are 2 Lothric Knights, so what I like to do usually is just throw something at them, either firebomb or a throwing knife, just to separate them from their walking path towards me, so I don't have to deal with them 2 at a time. But instead 1 at a time, so makes your own life easier. Drop anything? Nothing. Now we can take the other one. And he's dealt with. There are also these blue knights with red eyes. They are much more dangerous than the regular knights. So any enemy with red eyes like that, you know it's going to be much more dangerous. So whenever you die, you of course respawn back at the nearest bonfire. You also lose your souls, but you also lose your ember state. So if you can see, we are not glowing, like we don't have that fiery aura around us. So we want to use an ember, And when you if you don't use an ember, you are not able to start the multiplayer. So, for example, you are not able to see the summoning signs that either NPCs have or other players have left. So, if you want to engage in multiplayer, you need to have used at least one ember if you have died. You're also gonna be embered after every boss if you are not in ember state. Also, consuming an ember will increase your HP as well. Yeah, so embers are pretty are rare resources. You can farm them from certain enemies. For example, Lothric Knights drop them with a small chances. You can also buy few if you want at the Firelink Shrine. And if you win, for example, a boss fight as a guest with another player, you're also going to be getting one ember for that as a reward. So, for example, if you wanted to summon an NPC to help you, we know that there was a sign here, but we cannot see it yet. So we have to use an ember. And now we can see the sign. So again, anytime you want to engage in multiplayer, you have to be on ember state. Otherwise, you cannot see any summon signs that have been left by the players or by the NPCs. So we can, by summoning an NPC, the game will count this as another player, so it will increase the health of the bosses and the enemies accordingly. But you can use the NPCs basically as a distraction for yourself, making again your own life a little bit easier as the enemy focuses on the NPC instead of you. So let's go and collect our souls back. We got a refined gem. There's also an enemy there and also an item, but I think we can leave him. So basically, if we wanted, we could do a skip immediately now by skipping over half of the game by killing this woman, and just don't talk to her, just kill her immediately, and you're gonna get a boss which you are not supposed to be getting yet for a very long time.
To the bottom of the high wall. Forge on through the great gate. This farewell gift is for you. It is the insignia of an old covenant. If you fear trespassers, dark spirits drawn by the embers, then etch this upon your heart, and the old Concord will beckon noble blue sentinels to hunt these foul spirits.
And we get our first covenant item. So yeah, by killing this woman immediately right now, you get a boss, which is much more difficult. And again, you should only have access to it like over half past of the game, but killing the boss will give you access to upper Lothric castle by dropping down that ladder, but we're not going to do that because we have plenty more spaces to go. So yeah, just run back here and proceed onward. We also received our first Covenant item. Covenant items, you can think them as a guilds, so different guilds. So this is the guild of Way of the Blue. And what they do is basically every Covenant belongs to a certain area and they protect or attack that certain area. This is another NPC. This is the sword master that we disposed of at the very beginning of the game, who decided to drop himself down from the cliff. So we can just summon him and go onward with the first boss. Or technically the second boss, because the first boss was the tutorial, in the tutorial area, so to speak. So we're going to be facing against Wort of the Boreal Valley. One good strategy is that just keep your shield up and stay behind him. Give him a few strikes and then back up. Try to stay behind him while the other NPCs distract him, giving you more open space for you to attack. Then get behind him, give a few hits, back up, keep your shield up. If you take a hit, just drink from the Estus flasks and give him again a few hits, keeping your shield up and backing up. No need to rush, just take it slowly. These two NPCs can handle themselves, so don't need to worry about them. Just let them distract Wort. Taking damage, just drink a flask. We can even drink another one, leaving us with 2 and full HP. Nothing to worry about. He is distracted on those two. Getting behind him, giving him a few smacks, and he's down. Of course, not all areas will be having an NPCs, so since this is the first area, the other one is going to be here always. The guy with an axe is going to be here always. So there's our bonfire, and we can just sit and replenish our flasks. And proceeding onward. So the next area is going to be called Undead Village. And we have another bonfire immediately after. After our first boss, there's 2 steps and we have another bonfire here. There's an item here on the left side. We can pick it up and proceed. Every time you defeat a large boss, you're gonna be getting a boss souls. Don't spend them. Don't. Just keep them for as long as you can. We're gonna be needing them later. Few enemies here. We're just gonna be taking them out. Nothing special. There's an item there. And we're gonna be meeting our first NPC here in the world. One of the pilgrimages.
Please, grant me death. Undo my shackles. Oh. Oh, then it's true. A champion of Ash as I live and breathe. To be in your presence is a great honor. I am Yol of Londor, a pilgrim, as you can see, only somehow I failed to die as was ordained. Well, perhaps my calling lies elsewhere. Say, champion of Ash, how does the idea of taking me into your service strike you? I was once a sorcerer. Surely I can be of use. Oh, I am honored, truly. I should be dead, yet you have granted me purpose anew. I, Yol of Londor, do solemnly swear myself to you.
And he's gonna go back to the firing shrine. So he's the first NPC you can meet. And if you want to buy magic spells, the basic ones, that's where you can get them from. So he's gonna be the first one to sell them as an NPC. I remember correctly, the Maiden of Firelink Shrine, the old woman who sits in the chair, she also sells some spells, the basic one as well. You can get more spells from a variety of different NPCs. You just need to know where to find them, and you can find them by exploring. And another bonfire, so this is again, you walk 2 steps and you're again on another bonfire yet again. Proceeding onwards with the undead. Nothing special here, just go and dispose of few enemies, picking up items and stuff. So there's an item hanging here. You can put it down by swinging your sword at it. That item is tied to one of the NPCs back in the High Wall of Lothric, and that item can be given to him if you want to do another side quest. But since we did not free him, there's no point for us collecting that item. But that item does belong to an NPC, and for a side quest as well. More basic enemies here. So this is Loretta's bone. And again, you can give this to that NPC if you have freed him, and thus beginning one of the side quests. A little stabby from the back, and she falls. This area here is a central square, and it splits into two different areas. So one path leads to the left through there, and the other path leads through the right side and over the bridge. They do circle around each other at one point, so you can go either way. But what I like to do is usually go first the left side, then to the right side. Because there's first I want to get the bonfire on the left side. I also want to be getting a covenant item, the golden sun. And there are a few items that I can get along the way. So we're just gonna go from the central point of view, we're gonna be going to the left side first. So just open the door and go inside. There's a few items. This is a cage enemy. You know it's an enemy when the player locks onto it. That's how you know it is an active enemy. Any other cage here won't be locking onto it, so you can just stab it. Stab it like so, and it falls. There are a few around the games. Nothing special to deal with. This door is locked, but you can get here from the other side. And to get there, you go back up, past these crates, and by dropping down. We are on the other side of that door. So this is the warrior of sunlight that we wanted. This will give us a sunlight covenant item. So whenever we place our sign down, instead of a white light, it's going to be shown as golden. Like so. This is Estus soup. Same ingredients that are basically our Estus flask. So basically this is a free heal without spending the flask. There's an item here hidden. So if you don't go this bad, you may not even find this, but there is an item. There's a lot of places like this that are hidden behind corner and behind the rubble, so just go everywhere and explore as much as you can. any weapon, whip, if you want to use it. There's an enemy up there. Nothing to worry about, just run under and dispose of this guy here. Picking up item. And we can drop down from here, or we can walk through this house. They lead to the same place, so I just like to drop down here just to save a little bit time. And there's a crystal lizard here that I want, so this also gives you an advantage on dropping down on the crystal lizard. And there's also a bonfire here that I want. So let's go ahead and take the bonfire. So being here, if you have used an ember, this is where you first encounter like enemy invader. So this is the place where the game teaches you that you can be invaded. And this is an NPC. He always invades here. As long as you have one ember, the NPC always invades here. That's why we wanted this bonfire first. So he's going to be going through that corner over there. And you get a text that you have been invaded. Invaded by Mad Dark Spirit, Holy Knight Hodrick. So he's a purple. All mad spirits are purple in color, like that. We also want to be fighting him near the bonfire. So in case, if and when we die, we don't have to backtrack that much. So this, the idea of this invasion is to give you a taste of what it would feel like to be invaded by another player. But of course, in being invaded by another player is totally different than being invaded by an NPC. And that's the end of that. So he only invades once, so no need to worry that he would be invading you again. So again, you have two paths. You have one leading to the right and one leading straight through that small archway there. This door is locked, so this can be opened only from the other side again. And the path up ahead is heavily guarded by an spear-throwing giant. So if we would try to go here, we would be bombarded with these spears from that tower up there. There's a giant who throws these spears here, like so. So if we try to proceed, we would get killed. So there's an easy way to go through here. Oh, so he's throwing his spears even at this point. So yeah, he throws those spears from there. Again, if you just happen across this, or if you don't look up, you may not even find a way to get across there, but there is a way to get across without being damaged. So what we need is we need to backtrack all the way to the central square and going through the right path over the bridge that I said that there are two paths. So now we're going to be going through the right side of that. Backtracking here, taking a free healing, so we don't have to spend Estus. And we are back at the central square. Now we're going to take the other path across the bridge over there. Before we go here, we're going to be taking a small detour by backtracking again. So eventually we're going to go into that tunnel over there. There's a bonfire there, but we're going to be going up to those roofs, and for that we need to backtrack again. So just run back here. And take a left. So there's a path here. We're going to be going through here and onto those roofs. Grab this item, and you might see an enemy there. Again, this is something the game doesn't tell you. This is something you have to discover by yourself, or just look up on the guide. But there's an NPC here in the cage. And you can talk to him. So just talk to him.
Another Nana disappeared. So Grunton carries a cage. He ever has his cage. And Nana's never coming back. So come into the cage and become Nana's shade. Another Nana disappeared. So Grunton and Nana's never.
So he talks about this dude who carries a cage. So, like, piecing 1 + 1 together is that the guy he's speaking of is specifically this one and if you go to him and speak, he will put you in. You will go into the gauge and into the other area. This item is a ring, so if you want it, you can collect it. Just try not to fall down when you collect it. There we go. And we're gonna go talk to this dude here. And we get moved into another place completely. So there's gonna be a bonfire here and an NPC. We can just talk to him and be on our merry way.
Well, what's up? This pit is for hollows, not for the likes of you sane folk. Or perhaps you are a hollow, posing as otherwise? No, of course you're not. That's what you mad fools always say. But we'll all be mad soon enough. And should you be undead, well, all the more so.
So this is another Covenant place where you can offer Covenant items and get items in return once you have offered a certain amount of them. So the only way to get out of here is to return to the either Firelink Shrine or a bonfire. And you can do that by spending a homeward bone that we have been collecting, few of those. So by spending one, you can either return to bonfire where you were last time, or you can return to the Firelink Shrine. And back at here, the new NPC that came here can be found here. By talking to him, you can do a side quest. You can buy spells from him, and you can gain a free level. Every few times when you die, you can get certain amounts of free levels. So yeah, he sells basic spells. If you ever want to try one, you can level up your intelligence. You also need a catalyst to cast them.
Then shall we begin? Bearer of the dark sign, let your true strength shine.
So this is basically one free level without spending any souls.
Be safe.
I'm just gonna be running back, and we can go see if Andre can upgrade our Estus. I don't remember if we got one. Oh, one new shard. We did. This is where we can upgrade our weapon. So we have 6 Titanite shards. We need 2. And this will make our weapon +1. We can upgrade it a second time as well.
Prithee, be careful. I don't want it.
Use all our unknown souls that we have collected as well.
Ah, well met, Ashen One. How may I be of service? Ashen One.
Welcome home, Ashen One. Speak thine heart's desire.
Getting a few levels here. Again, it's really up to the player what they want to level up, based on your own weapon and whatever else you need. But health and stamina are always safe choices to do. So more health is better, more stamina is always better too. So it's really up to you. Whatever you want to level up, that's what you can go with. More strength for our weapon and more vitality to carry more heavier stuff.
Farewell, Ashen One.
This is the beginning of the undead settlement where we were at the first time, so we're going to be heading back to the central square here. Taking care of enemies along the way. And we are back at this back at the central square. Now we can go through the bridge and to the left side. We don't need to take the path on the right over there. We can just go straight through the doors and into that tunnel where that bonfire is. Can drop down from here because there are enemies who throw bombs. So we can just drop down and be careful that we do not drop down ourselves. And here's our bonfire. Making our way up and disposing of these two enemies who threw those fireballs at us. And here's the third one. So now there's going to be an NPC in a cage. If you want, you can free him. And this is the NPC that will teach you fire spells, so pyromancies. If you want to learn, you can free him and he will teach you pyromancies, provided you have the efficient stats to use them and the catalyst for them.
But here we are, an encounter for the ages. I hear the unkindled make for fine vessels. Care to learn some pyromancies from this old man? Ah, most wise. A chance encounter should not be squandered. To reiterate, I am Cornix of the Great Swamp. The pleasure is mine.
And he's gonna go back to Firelink Shrine, and we can learn pyromancies from him. Another soul. There's a ring item here at the end of this platform. And we can proceed through here. Getting rid of these enemies. We can use either the stairs or we can just drop down here because we're going to be taking the path here. So save time, we're just going to be dropping down here. There's going to be a dog enemy here. And we can proceed down into the sewers. Now there's going to be a few rat enemies as well. And one giant rat and a few more enemies. This door is locked. You need a key for that. You can buy it again from Firelink Shrine, from the Handmaiden. And we have looped around the settlement, and we are now in the previous bonfire that we have once open, and at the path it splits into two, to the right side and to the straight path. So now we're going to be again backtracking a little. And we're going to be heading over this bridge and into that tower over there. That's where the giant resides who threw spears at us. And that's where we are going to go. I really don't want to fight these two dudes together, so I'm trying to lure them one by one. Taking care of those, and we can proceed towards the tower. This path is the progression path, so if you don't want to go do the optional boss, you can go just straight to this door and down the elevator to go further in. This is Egom of Karim. This door does not open from this side, so to get here, you need that sewer key. You need to buy the key from the handmaiden at the Filing Shrine in order to progress through there. It's going to be looping around itself again. But this path will take you further into the game.
Oh. Pardon me, I was absorbed in thought. I am Siegwart of Katarina. To be honest, I'm in a bit of a pickle. Have you ever walked near a white birch only to be struck by a great arrow? Well, if I'm not mistaken, they come from this tower. Whoever it is, I'm sure I can talk some sense into them. But I have to find a way up, and that's just the trouble. This lift only goes down, you see, and... Well, that doesn't get me anywhere.
So we're going to be taking an elevator down. And I'm going to be sending this back up. Again, in order to make my own life easier, there's an enemy here. You can get a new weapon from him. That elevator is going to go up. Pick up this item here, and we're going to be luring him towards us. We're going to lure him to the place where the elevator was, so he will be dropping down that elevator shaft. So we don't have to even fight him. We just need to lure him far enough towards us so he would attack us and drop into that pit. And there we go. A new weapon and defeated enemy. This is the path you want to take if you want to go further into the game. So we're going to be opening this path for us for a later to go. And now we're going to be proceeding back up to the tower. Now we're going to go and find that giant who threw spears at us. So Dark Souls games have this tendency to do these secret paths from the elevators, and Dark Souls 3 is no exception to that. So there might be a secret path down when you go the elevator, there might be a secret path up when you go the elevator, but the only way to know is to just try and experiment. So we need to go up, but this elevator goes down, so there has to be a way to go up. So one thing that you can try is to just see if there is an additional platform when the elevator goes down. And there is. So this is one of the secrets that some people may miss or may not miss. Again, only by trying you can find out. So this is the tower where the giant resides, and we can make peace with him. So whenever he throws spears at us from this point on, the spear we won't be taking any damage from those spears. So we are now free to go into that other path without fearing of being hit by those spears. And there's also another secret. If you drop down at this point, you can get on the mid-level of the tower, and this is like the off area.
Oh, don't disappear like that. You had me downright worried. But thanks to you, an epiphany has struck me square in the head. I've unraveled the riddle of this inscrutable lift. On some days I begin to doubt myself. I went up the tower, so I thought, then somehow ended up here. I'm not exactly sure what happened. Anyhow, do you see that? That humongous beast? I'm no coward and I've a steady hand, but that thing makes my skin crawl. Now, think twice before you go down that road.
So we're going to be taking on a small mini-boss enemy, so to speak. We just need to lure him close enough to us, and Sigurd will be coming to our aid. We just need to be careful not to hit Sigurd too many times if we happen to hit him, or we may need to make sure as well that he won't die. And one of the fire demons is defeated. This is where you get a fire gem. So if you want to have a fire weapon, you can put that gem onto your weapon.
That was quite a performance. But you mustn't get in over your head. We unkindled must put our duties first. But, for the moment, we've a toast to make. To your valor, my sword, and our victory together. Long may the sun shine.
And now he's gonna take a nap.
Well, I'm going to have myself a little nap. The only thing to do, really, after a nice toast.
Right. Well, while he sleeps, we can move on. So again, many of the areas here loop back around themselves. So once we get out of here, we're going to be back closer to one of the previous bonfires that we have opened. We're also going to be getting a very useful ring from this area. The stamina regeneration ring. It speeds up our stamina regen. Very useful. There we go. Getting rid of those. Now we can proceed up here. There's an item here. And there's going to be another ring here. So just carefully drop down and drop down again. Making sure we have health. Now we're going to try to jump on that platform there. So not to take as too much damage. There we go. And then drop down again. So this is the ring we want over here. Florentine ring. This ring speeds up our stamina regen. Raises stamina recovery speed. So this is one useful ring to have. ember. And we are back near the sewers, so now we can just run all the way through the sewers back to the bonfire where we were. Getting rid of all of these enemies along the way. More souls. And back at the bonfire. Spending souls, and we're gonna be going and leveling up again soon enough. We need to grab a few more items from here. There's a and I see that there's a player here that we can summon, but for now we just let him be. So now that the giant is our friend, we can just go through past this area without fear of being hit by the spears. It also makes easier for us to go through here. Now that we don't take damage from the spears, he will throw these spears only at the enemies, giving us more breathing room. We could go previously through this area just by trying and running and evading the spears. But since there are items that we want, making him a friend to us makes this a lot easier to grab these items. So this is the undead bone shard. By burning this item at the bonfire in the Firelink Shrine, we can increase our Estus Flask power. Not the amount, but the power of how much it does heal us when we consume one. Mortician ashes can be given to the handmaiden at the Firelink, and by giving these ashes, there are a few different kinds of. By giving these ashes, she will give you more items to buy from her. And again, this area will be looping around itself. So we are nearing the boss, and this is an optional boss, but I highly recommend that if you're ever going to do optional bosses, this is the one that you should do always on every playthrough. And we are back on the other side of that bridge. So this is the tower we just came through a few minutes ago. We run through there, through the sewers, and back there. So again, we have made a loop here, and there's another player here. So let's go and get a few levels. So this is the handmaiden that you give the ashes to.
Ah, well met. How may I...
So Umbra ashes.
Gracious. Passing fine ash thou'st given. Let this ash bestow nourishment. I only hope these new wares content thee.
She will now sell more of the embers and pine raisins. This is the key for the sewers. If you want to go and rescue the NPC from the undead village. And this is the tower key that you can get now that we have 20,000 souls. You can get it now if you want. There's a ring that you can get again if you want, but I'm not gonna get this just yet because I consider leveling up is more important than getting the item, at least now.
Ashen one.
We'll see if we can upgrade weapon any further. Not for now. We need 5 more Titanite shards. We currently have only 1.
Be careful.
So we can just go and give ourselves a few levels.
Very well. Then take nourishment.
Again, stamina and health are always good choices, safe choices to have.
Farewell, Ashen One.
Now we can burn the undead bone, giving us +1 to Estus healing power. So now we have Estus flask +1, it says. And we can travel to the dilapidated bridge. See if there is anyone needing our help. No. And we can go ahead and run to our first optional boss. I highly recommend that you take on this boss because he will give an item that will let you in exchange get items from other bosses in exchange for their boss souls. That's why we don't want to spend any boss souls that we get on ourselves, but in exchange for items. So our first optional boss is a giant tree, and we need to destroy a small mushrooms around his body in order for him to lose health. So that green giant tree is our boss. And he will give us the item that we need in order to exchange boss souls for items. dispatch 3 of these enemies to make your own life easier. This white mode looking like things, that's the spots that you want to hit. So that's one. There's another one on this hand. One in front. Now he should do a stomp, and we should be falling down into that pit that we were earlier. And now we do the same thing again. Thing his white mushroom looking like things. There's one in the back. That one destroyed. There should be one on his arm or leg. There's one there. And the last one is in front of him, so that arm is the last spot that you want to hit. There we go. And the boss is defeated. We get the soul, but more importantly we get the transposing kiln. This will allow us to exchange boss souls for an items. And there's our bond. We can now go back to the Filing Shrine and use that kiln for the one of the NPCs that sits on the throne. So we can now talk to him. We could talk to him previously, like from the very start, but now there's just more point to it.
O thou unkindled, and a seeker of lords, I am Ludleth of Corland. Look not in bewilderment as I say. I linked the fire long ago, becoming the Lord of Cinder. If substantiation be thy want, set thine eyes upon my charred corpse. This sad cadaver, no need to be coy. Have a closer look. Oh, belike it is a transposing kiln in thy possession. Seen better days, but methinks it shall suffice. Now, bring to me a twisted soul. Transposition is the art of extracting and coalescing the essence of a soul. In transposing a twisted soul, its true power transferred to thee. Thy purpose is to seek lords and slay them. What's to fear in a little transposition now?
So more items will become available as you progress further through the game. But for example, the soul that we got from Ward, we can now exchange his soul for his hammer and this is one of the better hammers. It requires 30 of strength, but it also have a nice attack that does frostbite to the enemy. So if you want powerful weapon or weapons or items, this is the one way to get them.
Do not build.
So we can now see that we need 30 strength with the hammer. It's also super heavy, but it's super useful for us. It deals tons of damage. As long as we have strength stat to wield it.
Welcome home, Ashen One. Speak. Very well. Then take. Farewell, Ashen One.
So now basically the whole area of the undead settlement is completed. We have gone through all the main parts. We still have the sewer parts to go through, but I'm not gonna go through it now, just because there's nothing for us that we want. There is that one NPC that we can rescue, but other than that, we can just leave it be. So the next place of our destination would be the Road to Sacrifices. So this is the path that we opened before we went up to the tower to meet the giant. These enemies here, when they transform, when they grow wings, they're gonna become more aggressive like that. So we want to watch out for their aggressive attacks. They can be really overwhelming, and especially when there are more than one doing that same attack over and over again, they can dispose of you really quickly. They're not difficult to kill, but they are very dangerous, especially in large groups. Maybe not one, but even two can be already more dangerous. This one throws poison at us, so we can dispose of him as well, as quickly as possible. That purple mist, that's poison. And we want to drop down here to proceed. There's gonna be one NPC coming towards us, but he's not particularly difficult to defeat, so we can just dispose of him. Now that's done, he's not gonna be respawning anyway, so we can dispose of him and be on our way. If you want to wield two weapons, so Brigand Twin Daggers is a dexterity-based weapon. If you have enough dexterity stats, you can wield those. taking the path on to the left up, and there's one item, 2 enemies, and that's about it. This will lead us back where we came from. So again, the area just loops around itself. And let's dispose of him as well. Nothing here, and we proceed. We're gonna be meeting 2 new NPCs, and they also will give us a side quest. I don't know why the game calls it Halfway Fortress, but this is this should be the start of the Road of Sacrifices. This area is officially Road of Sacrifices, but anyway.
Oh, hello. How do you do? I am Anri of Astora, unkindled like you. This is Horace, a friend and travelling companion. Are you too in search of the Lords of Cinder? We are well along the Road of Sacrifices. Below us is the Crucifixion Woods. Beyond the flooded woods lies Farron Keep, home of the Undead Legion. Further yet is the Cathedral of the Deep. We seek the Cathedral, home of the Grim Aldrich. We may go our separate ways now, but we are both seekers of lords. The next time we cross paths, one may find the other in a time of need. May the flames guide your way. Oh yes, Horace. He's not very talkative. But don't think ill of him. He's an upstanding, kind-hearted knight, a fine partner for this grueling journey. Without his help, I would have cursed this onerous duty long ago.
So now we can go into the Crucifixion Woods itself. So again, by thorough exploring, you can see that there are ledges here that leads to the other side of the swamp, and there are a few items here that you can pick up. Poisonous mushrooms. Let's deal with them quickly, like so, and nothing to be afraid of. Again, mushrooms. There's gonna be another one of those cross-scanning giants. So we want to get rid of him first. Like so, and proceed onward. There's gonna be door here. This is another shortcut that we are going to be coming back much later, but not just right now. This enemy here is a Black Knight. They can be particularly dangerous enemies at this point because they can kill you at 1 or 2 hits if you're unlucky. But they do have a chance of dropping some of the good items. So, for example, a sword or a armor piece, which are good at this point. Didn't drop anything? Nope. So we can be on our way. So now we can cross to the other side of this swamp. We just run through here. This path that leads up there is the original path that we would have come if we didn't take the ledges down. So this is the path you would take if you don't want to go anywhere else. Just take this path, and it will bring you from the bonfire down here. And this is where you want to proceed if you want to go onward. Look down here. Take out these mushrooms. There are more down there. There's also one of the cross-carrying giants hiding here somewhere. And we are nearing our next bonfire. And we are at the center of the Crucifixion Woods. We're going to be going... There are a few places we can go from here. There's one on the left, the center. There's one path over there. There's a room there, and one on the right, and another one over there. So there are lots of places to visit here. So we can start basically by going to the left here. There's going to be a Mad Spirit sign here. Yeah, just take it slowly and let him use his healing items. You will probably have more than he, so let him just heal himself 3 times, and when he's run out of the healing items, you can just try and dispose of him. Just be mindful that he can parry your attacks, so he can stab you after he has parried. So now we're going to go into this small room here to pick up a few items. There's also going to be an enemy here. And a ring from here. For magic casters, very useful. Small crabs, nothing to fear from them. There's also should be an item somewhere around here. A shield, if I remember correctly. So now we have been invaded by one of the other players who are in a covenant of the Farron Keepers. So Farron Keepers basically protect this swamp, so anyone who enters here may be invaded by one of those covenant players. And whenever you are invaded, you cannot use the bonfire. So using a bonfire is restricted. So we need to either dispose of him or he will kill us. Now we just need to find him. So he's probably waiting for us, either to ambush us or he's trying to find us as well. Oh, there he is. So based on his weapons that he uses, he is probably going to try to parry us. And we were lucky. We won. Just by a small margin. So basically, if you don't want to get invaded, you can either be in an offline mode, like not to connect to internet at all, or you do not have to consume Ember in order for you to be not invaded. Even though you are in offline mode, you can still be invaded by NPCs, but those are much more easier to take than the actual players. So now we can go up here, take down this enemy. And take down this enemy. This path will circle to the other side of the swamp. Like to the opposite of where we were. So there are lots of mage-based enemies here, and our mandatory boss will be also a crystal sage. So he uses a magic. He also copies himself a lot. So this is the other side of the swamp. That's where the bonfire is, and this is where we came from over there and circled around back here. Now we're gonna go on the other side to here. There's gonna be 2 NPCs here as well that we want to take down. And I'll try to tackle them one by one instead of 2 at a time. So we need to throw something at this one here. So only he would be attacking us. And the second one is over there. Pick up the item from here. More homeward bones. There's nothing here, so there's no point going here. This path that takes you down is the next progression path. So going through here, you can go further in the game. But we're just going to be opening this bonfire here for later. Now we're going to be invaded by an NPC player, by an NPC. This invasion happens always at this point. If you have used an Ember, he will invade you around here, even if you are in offline mode. This is where he usually appears. Just walk around somewhere around this area, and he should appear. You get a text that you have been invaded, but that invader is an NPC. There we go, Yellowfinger Hazel. So he is an NPC. These trees offer a good cover, so try to make use of them. And he's down. So he won't be respawning here, but he will be back a little further down the road. So now we can try and get rid of these crabs. One down and another one thrown. By disposing of both of these crabs, you get a ring item in return, but you have to kill them both, otherwise you won't be getting that ring. So we can now go and rest at the bonfire and leveling up. We can also go check if we have, we can reinforce our Estus since we found another shard. And we can see if we can upgrade our weapon if we have enough shards to do that as well.
What? Oh, you have
Currently no, so that's okay. We can upgrade the hammer. If we're gonna use it, we can upgrade now then. Now and use it later.
Ashen One.
Welcome home, Ashen One. Speak. Very well, then Haken. Farewell, Ashen One.
And I think this will be it for now. Next time we're going to be taking on the Crystal Sage and progressing further into the cathedral. But for now, I thank you all and I'll see you in the next stream. Bye.